Don't you find it strange how the simplest words are always the hardest to say? Love. Tragedy in the Civil War.
It was January 31st, 1862 when I met the love of my life.
Next. Name, please.
Colonel Stephen Hodgkinoffer.
Next.
I thought that was the strangest last name I've ever heard. Of course, I can't talk much, though. Mine, Cheshneffer, it wasn't much better. His name, though, it definitely stuck in my head.
Oh my goodness, did you hear what happened at Fort Henry?
Yeah, it was so great that they captured it. This is gonna help greatly in the war.
It's terrible what happened at Fort Donaldson.
Really, I heard there were only a few injuries, and that General Grant is a hero for what he did.
Well, you know what that means. There's a lot of people to help take care of.
Gosh, this war is just crazy. So what happened here, Colonel Hodgkinoffer? Wait a minute. Do I know you from somewhere?
Yeah, you signed me back in January.
Oh yeah, I remember that. You sure have some last name.
I get that a lot.
Okay, what happened here, Stephen?
Well, as you can see, Miss...
Mildred Beth.
Well, as you can see, Mildred Beth, I got shot in the knee.
I should get back to work then.
After I took the bullet out and fixed his leg up, Stephen had to spend a lot of time in the hospital. This is when I really got to know him, and he was such a sweethearted man. Dear Brigadier General Hodgkinoffer,
Thank you for your services in the battle at Fort Donaldson. I'm sorry you got injured, but my family has recently been struck with the grievance of a horrible death, and I'm inviting you along with other generals to the White House to discuss the war.
Sincerely, Abraham Lincoln, I can't believe I've been invited to the White House.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, we'll see where that gets us. Also, there's another thing that has happened lately. McClellan and his troops have advanced towards Richmond, and I have currently relieved McClellan, and I will be taking over. I would like to keep you in on this, so for a while, you may stay here.
I always remember the letter Stephen wrote about him meeting the president. I was so proud.
The Confederates attacked General Grant's troops in Shiloh. It was a Union victory, but the casualties were the highest of the war.
I knew something like this would happen. Dear Mildred Beth, General Grant and his troops were surprised by an attack at Shiloh. There were 13,000 Unions killed and wounded, and only 10,000 Confederates. There were more men hurt and killed than in previous American wars. Lincoln told me he wants to relieve Grant, but Grant resides. I can't spare this man. He fights, Lincoln said. Your love, Stephen.
Oh, I missed you so much, Stephen. It's wonderful to have you back.
Yeah, I missed you too, Mildred. I was really happy with what happened in the war before I left. 17 Union ships under command of Flag Officer David Farragut moved up the Mississippi and took command of New Orleans. It was a great Union victory.
That's great to hear, but let's talk about things besides the war. How have you been, Stephen?
I spent the rest of the day with Stephen. We just talked like we used to before he went to the White House, and it was absolutely lovely. It ended a few days later, though, when Stephen had to go back to the White House, but he wrote me every day.
Dear Mildred Beth, the past few events lately have been very interesting, and I thought you might like to know about them. Well, first of all, the Battle of Seven Pines and what a battle was. There were 5,739 Union deaths and 7,997 Confederates deaths. Now I call that a Union victory, but some people might disagree. Anyways, that's not really my reason for this letter. I just wanted to inform you that my leg is getting better, and I think I'll be able to go back into the battle soon. Your love, Stephen.
There sure have been a lot of changes in the leadership lately.
Yeah, I still can't believe Lee went in control back in June after Johnston was wounded at Seven Pines. I mean, as McClellan said, Lee is likely to be timid and irresolute in action.
Even so, that didn't stop him in the 7 days battle.
Sure, he was good in control then, but McClellan's troops had trouble with the weather.
He still protected Richmond for a while with a small number of troops. Then when Stonewall's troops came in, they really held their ground. I'm just saying we shouldn't underestimate him, especially with our new General-in-Chief, Henry W. Halleck.
Oh, brains, yeah, that was a mistake on our part. No one really likes him too much.
I remember getting letters from Stephen about this old brains. He said no one liked him, and by the way, he said some people described him. I can clearly see why. McClellan once said Halleck was the most hopelessly stupid of all men in the high position.
Dear Mildred Beth, I really want to be able to fight again. With all that's happening, I really want to be able to help. It's terrible just to sit back and watch all these Union men die. I know I can't do much to change a battle, but at least I can be there instead of hearing about the battle days later. Like the Second Manassas, with the Confederates winning, another battle killing so many. I don't think I should just be sitting back watching. Then there was a surprise attack on Harper's Ferry with Lee's plan on dividing and invading different areas. There was no way we could win. The Union had to surrender. It kills me seeing things like that. I just really want to go back into the war, and I think my time will be coming very soon.
Stephen was right about going back in soon. The day after I got that letter, I received another letter from Stephen that explained he would be going to Antietam with McClellan's troops. I was so worried. I wrote back saying how much I wanted him to be careful, but I knew it would be too late and he'd probably be in battle by the time they got to Maryland. All I remember from getting that letter was being so worried about what might happen to him.
Hello, my name is Measure Elliott, and do I have a product for you? My amazing bulletproof vest is sure to keep you and all those vital organs from getting shot. It's been tested with pistol bullets at 10 paces and rifle bullets at 40 yards. This item is being worn by many Army officers all over. They are light, stylish, and everyone is wearing them. Now, you may be thinking that this invention must cost a fortune, but any private vest will cost you $5, and any officer's vest will be $7. We also ship to any address. Our bulletproof vests are totally effective and the absolute must-buy of the year.
I remember the hospital was so packed when I got to Maryland after the battle at Antietam. So many had died or were wounded. It was the bloodiest day in the U.S. military. I believe by nightfall, about 26,000 men had died or were wounded. They needed as many nurses as possible, and of course I went. I helped so many, but the only one I remembered was coming up to a man who got shot twice in the thigh, Stephen.
Stephen, what happened to you?
Mildred.
Yeah, I'm here, and I'm going to help you. I tried my hardest to help him without having to do anything serious, but I ended up having to amputate his leg, and at that point I knew how unlikely it would be for him to survive that, but I had hope. Stephen, how are you doing?
I'm okay, but it's better having you here.
For the last few months of the year, I didn't leave Stephen's side. I couldn't. I knew he wasn't doing great, and I wanted to spend all my time with him. Then there was one day in December, I was filling him in on what's been happening in the war. I usually did this to keep him from talking about anything that might happen to him. So, did I tell you about the Emancipation Proclamation?
Yeah, but back in September, you told me how Lincoln was thinking about freeing slaves.
Okay, how about when Lincoln got mad at McClellan after being slow on moving on after Antietam? I loved that, you know. I never really liked McClellan. You always told me he said very mean things about people.
Wait, what did happen there again?
Well, Lincoln replaced McClellan with General Ambrose E. Burnside. Then he said to him,
If you don't want to use the army, I should like to borrow it for a while.
Oh, that's right. So what happened recently?
Burnside and his troops were defeated in Fredericksburg, Virginia, and lost 12,000 men or so.
That's terrible.
Gosh, Stephen, you sound terrible. Are you sure you're fine? You look horrible, like you're going to...
Mildred, I think you and I both know I won't make it much longer. And before I go, I just want you to know I truly love you, Mildred Beth Cheseneffer.
I couldn't believe what he said. I was hysterically crying, so I had to step out of the room for a second. If I could go back and redo that, I would, because when I went back into the room, Stephen Hodge-Knopfler was gone, and I didn't even get to tell him that I loved him back.
Tragedy in the Civil War.